Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday's Trade the Pool live trading stream. I'm here with Tim and Deanna. How are you all doing? You're good?
Good, thank you. How are you doing?
All good, thank you very much. So everybody in the chat, put your tickers in and we'll take a look at them very, very shortly, straight after this. All right, good morning all. Who have we got in the chat? Trader for Knife, Nolly, Great Scott, Tiny T. How are you all doing? Scott C, how are you? Before we get stuck into the tickers this morning and which hot stocks are going to eclipse the rest of the market, I think you've got an eclipse in about an hour or so, haven't you? A lot of you in the US there.
That was yesterday.
Oh, was it? I've got someone posted it was going on in an hour's
16
time.
hours ago, man.
Should have run that joke yesterday. Never mind. Okay, so to start things off, thank you, Gil. Perfect timing for a change. Thank you. Okay, so I would like to welcome my co-host here, Deanna Cole. We saw her, was it last week or the week before,
Yep.
Deanna? And we have her back and on a more regular slot. So what we're going to do is Deanna is just going to explain, because she's kind of psychologist and trader all rolled into one. And we're going to start off with Deanna's kind of her pre-market prep for the mind, I guess. So Deanna, I'm going to hand it over to you for the next 5. Away you go.
Great, thank you. And Gil, if you can put my slides up. If not, I'll just go ahead and go through it. But the first bit that we're doing, it's the pre-trade routine. So it's basically just a mindset routine. And if you want to learn more, you can look at my channel. I have a ton of videos. But the first step is simply just finding your power. So we know that when your body is in certain positions, you can send a signal to your mind. And so starting with the pre-trade or the power pose, you're standing maybe next to your desk or seated at your chair, hands on your hips or hands overhead, just like you're seeing this gentleman do. And it sends a signal. In 2 minutes, will change the hormones in your brain to help you feel confident and alert, ready to go. And I like to habit stack this. There are 5 things that I like to go along to do with it. So when I'm habit stacking, I'm doing the power pose, breathing in deep. So big inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth, smiling. Right? That sends a signal of happiness to your brain. I know it sounds a little bit out there, but it changes your brain. And then I like to spend 2 minutes just practicing gratitude as well. So I don't know if you want to do this for a whole minute or two, but this is how I start every trading morning, every trading session. Do you want to do 1 minute or 2, Scott?
Let's do 1 minute of the power pose. What have I got to do? I've got to stand up like that guy with the cape.
You're going to stand up, or you can just do it at your desk. So hands on your hip or arms overhead in a way that exudes confidence. Okay, so I'll set the timer.
I've got that.
And you're okay.
Come on, Tim. Come on, Tim.
Come on, Tim. Do it with us.
I did mine already. So
breathing in through your nose. Hold at the top and big exhale like you're blowing out birthday candles. Breathe back in, smile. Think about what you're grateful for. You can just think about it in your mind. Tim, this is shown to increase testosterone and reduce cortisol. So come on.
Yeah, I did mine already, so that's cool.
And you can also do it hands on your hips, shoulders back.
Oh, all right.
We talk a lot about the breathing in our in the Discord discussions too. There's some interesting material we've read there, so I'm a big believer in that, like, for sure.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So if we go on to the next slide, I do this every morning, even though I am very familiar with my trading plan, just a trading plan review. So whatever your trading plan is, it can take 30 seconds to a minute. Go ahead and review that. This is what I look for. Not only reminding myself what I'm specifically looking for on the chart, but also, is there news today? The session profile. So Scott, like you talk about looking just to the left at what happened overnight. And also importantly, if I'm in a good mindset to trade. So if I'm ready and able to be in a good headspace. So that's the second step. Third is strategy visualization, but most importantly, your wins and your losses. So when you're winning and when you're losing, you have a reaction in your body, how you feel, but physical sensations as well, and also thoughts in your mind. So the thoughts are super key piece of this. So I spend, 30 seconds to a minute visualizing losing first and how I'm going to react to that and how I want to react to that. So like we talked about last week, Scott, resetting and changing the way that you're thinking about things when you lose. And then also same with winning. A lot of times we can get overconfident. So again, resetting. So I don't know if you want to do this or you just want to move on to the next step. What do you think?
So in terms of visualization, I've just close my eyes and imagine that feeling, or
let's do it together. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first I'm going to do, so I like to close my eyes. You don't have to, but it helps me see the chart. So I'm going to close my eyes and I'm watching price. I can see the chart and I can see price coming into my my area or zone where I'm going to take a long. Okay. So I enter the trade and I'm watching price and it starts to go against me. So price starts to wiggle and jiggle along to my stop loss. Okay. Approaching my stop loss. And I can maybe feel like a sensation in my stomach. Maybe I start to feel hot. My hands maybe get a little sweaty. Maybe I feel nervous. Okay. So I'm sitting up, putting my shoulders
right?
back.
Like the meme, right? All the classic.
Man, you're ruining my flow, Tim. I'm there. You're ruining my flow. Give me a minute. So are you, Gil, by the way.
So we're focusing on putting our shoulders back, chin up. Again, we're sending a signal of confidence to our mind, right? We can communicate to our mind what we want to believe. So sitting up, shoulders back, chin up. And you're working on normalizing your breathing, normalizing your heart rate. It's fine to experience emotion. Maybe you're feeling like anger or sadness or nervousness, any of those things, disgust even. It's fine to have those emotions and acknowledge that you're feeling that, but just turn it down, okay? Turn down the emotion. And with the thoughts in your mind, there are 3 things that I say. This is a valid trade. I risked appropriately. And every trader takes losses, okay? So that's it. That's how you visualize a loss. And it really helps when you're in that situation to respond how you want to respond. So real quickly, we'll do the wins, okay? So same thing. I see price entering my zone and I'm going to take a long. This time price goes in my direction, okay? So I can see price jiggling around and approaching the target. All right, I can feel the sensation in my body. Maybe my heart rate speeds up a little bit and I'm feeling happy. And I'm just going to turn those down, tune those down. So important to feel, it's fine to feel happy and acknowledge you feel that, but you don't want to be elated or excited. So you're just turning it down a little bit. And the thoughts in your mind need to be, I am happy, but this is just what I do. This is just part of trading. I'm not a genius. I'm not a hero. Just tuning everything down and taking it down a little bit, okay? And then after, so whether my stop loss is hit or my take profit is hit, you reset, okay? It's a new trade. All right. On to the dominant trading theme. You just think about whatever is your specific thing that you want to work on this week, okay? You can keep your dominant trading theme for a week or 2 or a month, whatever it is. Think about what it is in this session that you're actually going to work on, okay? So it could be risking the right amount, being confident in taking your trade. I did eliminating errors at one point, okay? That was what I was looking at. And then the last bit is parts negotiation. You can think about having like 2 sides of yourself. For me, it's like, I think about like the angel and the devil on your shoulder, right? Except the devil is kind of a negative connotation. The parts of yourself are not bad, but they're there to help you. Okay. So I think of like a business-minded, rational, logical side, and then like the fun, impulsive side likes to push buttons. And the way I think of it is the one on the left is going to be in charge. She's going to be calling the shots, and the impulsive side is there to help me take risk, but like stay in your seat, hand down, that kind of thing. Okay, so that's it. And then the last bit, why are you here and why are you doing what you're doing? Every morning, it's important to think about that and really make sure that your actions align with what you're doing on the chart. So that's your mindset warm up. There you go.
Okay,
Thanks for
great.
joining me.
No worries. You're welcome. So I think what I'll do then, when we're kind of off stream or before we do the next one, or maybe in the gap from Thursday and Friday, is I'll let you know what my strict criteria for setups is, just so you know when I'm visualizing that's what I should do when it's coming down into a buy-side liquidity pool, that's what I would, that's what I need. That's my confirmation. So just so you know if I'm not heading in that direction when I take a trade. So you can give me...
that sounds
give
great.
me a slap on the wrist and let me know when if I'm about to do it, that I absolutely shouldn't be, because I've done it a few times in the past.
Slap on the wrist, but maybe we could talk about like what you could be thinking about and how the thoughts that you could change to help yourself, do the right thing.
Cool.
And I don't always do the right thing, that's for sure. So this is just, do the best we can.
Okay, great stuff. Excellent intro. Thank you very much, Deanna. So we will take a look at what is hot this morning, and it looks like Lays is on there. Let's have a look what you guys have got. RVSN, ADXN, Lays. Yep, I'd go with that. Let me just drop my charts on screen to the second. Where am I? Have I stopped presenting? Bear with me. Entire screen. Okay, there we go. Now we're back. Okay, so ADXN, let's have a quick look. This is running, isn't it? Let's have a look on the daily where we're coming from here on the daily. So if I was looking at the base lows here, I'd look for something that gets trapped in the box first. So there's my first trap in the box here. Now we've flown through the first benchmark here. The second one is sitting up here around $26 for this stock on ADXN. If I can grab this template, and the first benchmark, I guess that was kind of acknowledged in there. We'll have a look on the smaller time frame when we get there. We're already up there. I can see the pre-market ticking right up there. So I was going to say the bogey level's in the middle at 22, but I know as soon as I drop down to this time frame, we're going to be there, aren't we? So we've already pushed right above that benchmark and spiked up massively and come back down to it. So that's interesting, because if we hold the backside of this benchmark, we could be off and running. The thing that's going to stand in our way right now will be this sell side ball, and that's going to be sitting around about between 30 and 32. So these are kind of wide numbers here. We're talking $2 just on this sell side liquidity pool. So we've really got to be looking at what our entry and risk reward is going to be on that. But ultimately, we're either looking for a push up to get long off of here if we get that momentum on the open, and be careful around this area. But if we do break above 32, then we could be off and running, because we can basically double that area again up into the 40s. Or we're looking for some rejection at 31.5, 32 to see if there's a short on with ADXN. I think for something like that's run from $4 up into the 30s, I'd probably looking for a first red day as opposed to trying to do this today. So I'd be waiting until tomorrow and seeing if today turns out to be a red day, because there's so much room to the downside on it, back down to $4. So that's what I would have on ADXN. And just before I'll hand over to you, Deanna, in a second for kind of the NQ, if you've got kind of the index sort of thing lined up, that would be good. I'm just going to cover LASE. All right, so so I drew this in earlier in pre-market, and I had a double overlapping benchmark. So there's a benchmark 2 on the daily, on the intraday, sorry, with a daily benchmark 1. That's what we've got here. So we're kind of acknowledging that at the moment to say, yep, okay, we've drawn the levels right. This is correct. Whether or not it holds is another matter. We'll have a level, the bogey level will be in here around $5. But ultimately, this could go to 6 today if we get some volume. It's kind of run up pre-market. It hasn't take any of its gains back, really. It's just sitting up there right now. So any break above this area and a close above could see us fill that gap up to 6. There isn't really... Let's drop this down to a 1 minute. Just get a bit micro on it. Haven't really got a whole lot. From the last tiny micro pullback we had there, if they wanted to grab some liquidity, it would be around 320. So if we dip on the open, if we do dip on the open on this one, I'd be looking for that to hold to see if we can't get something out of it on a push out of that to the upside. That would be really nice. Looking also where these moving averages are, because if we can get the VWAP or the moving average or the moving averages aligned with that buy side pull, that always makes for a better trade. So that's my first 2 hot stocks. I'm just going to mention RVSN. Sorry. This to me looks a little bit backside still. If you look at it, we keep popping to it. It appears on the scanner like a couple of times a week over the past few weeks, but it just keeps popping to these moving averages and to this trend line. So I'm not convinced at the minute today's any different to any other day prior that this has been on the scan. So at the minute, to me, it looks like it's popped up to the trend line. Liquidity switch on also acknowledged it. Here's the sell side liquidity that we're working through at the moment. But be careful, that's not just a cheeky push to 210 again for a fade. You really want to see this holding buy side consistently in order to get long on this one today, in my opinion. Okay, so Deanna, have you got anything on the NQ? What have you got for us?
Yeah. Can you see okay with the camera? He said that I'm not frozen anymore.
You are actually frozen right now. Let's see if your chart comes in though. Okay. Yeah, your chart's good. Oh, you took it on. I'll take it off. There you go.
All right. So looking at NQ, on the daily time frame, we're just sort of in this long-term consolidation since around the end of February, just kind of stuck right in the middle here. We've seen a lot of movement back and forth inside this area from high to low. And on the 4-hour time frame, you can see we're right smack dab in the middle. Large fair value gap here on the left, and prices moving strongly higher in this candlestick. So we're starting to move inside this bearish zone on the hourly time frame. And looking at the market session, we had a really nice tight Asian range overnight. The London session was a little bit broader than usual. Price took out the lows here. There was a sweep on the 15-minute time frame, taking out the London lows, and now we've pushed strongly higher. So perhaps we'll see continuation in this session. Hard to say, but right now price is moving strongly higher.
Okay, gotcha. So what have you got up above there that you would consider, I guess you'd be considering a short higher up or not right now? What would you be looking at?
Well, I was looking at potentially a short here when we took out the London high. So this is the London open. And we had taken out the London high looking for potentially a reversal, and we didn't see that. So at this point, the way I look at the market, this is a new market structure shift to the upside. So I'd be looking potentially for a pullback to get long.
Gotcha. Okay. So long bias on if you get a pullback, yeah?
Correct.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I think I was looking between these two levels for me. We used this one yesterday and this one yesterday and this one this morning as well. I don't know. I was kind of hoping this one was going to hold up here, but listen, if it can get back into the channel, I've got a fair bit of a channel working up that we dropped out of here. So yeah, I don't know if we can get back into that channel, bring that over. But yeah, it feels like it wants to push up right now, doesn't it? So so let's see what it's got. Tim, what are you looking at today? You got anything on your watch?
Yeah, I'm actually right now just going through my newsletters for kind of my biofarm watch list. It is going to be, I think it'll be an interesting day because we don't have too much today other than the 3-year at 1 p.m. But we do have tomorrow, we have CPI and the FOMC minutes. And then, let's see, Wednesday and Thursday, there's a lot of central banks coming out with rate stuff. Kashkari made some interesting comments last night. He's been sort of, I saw some different interpretations, but it seems like he's throwing a little cold water on things. And I will say in the crypto space, which I've been watching, I am seeing a little bit of a pullback here. Although I do think it's going to try to reclaim and push. I don't know. I'm just trying to get a sense of the market sentiment, honestly, because feels like I mean we could just be in a chop zone, honestly. But yeah, I'll let you know if I see anything of particular interest on individual names right now. But I think I am in Hood. I got in Robinhood in the pre-market. It's pushing up a little bit, but yeah, a lot of things I was looking at yesterday just seemed like they pulled back a little bit and then sort of held. Like Disney's bouncing a little bit, but we'll see what happens once we get to the open.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Tim. All right, so we have 4 minutes here. So let's have a look at what else we might have on. So MDIA, mate, so that's one you're looking at, right? Let's see what we've got here. Are you looking at long side or short side, mate? So what's your thoughts on MDIA there? I think we pumped up to kind of 650s. Yeah, we're trundling along this little buy side liquidity pool. So we couldn't break over that yesterday or today. So maybe not further downside below 260 at the minute. But let me see what I've got on. So I'm just going to take the pre-market range for the minute and see where we end up with that. So just before the pre-market switch on. Okay, so I'm coming in around 4 to 440 for a sell side pull. So I think any higher than we need to break 440 to get any higher in order for it to be kind of a retest. And this was the level that didn't get tacked into before. We just run off to that 360 level. So there'll be a gap there between 440 and kind of 5. So that's what I've got there. And the key level for the minute is kind of 250, really. Another dip into 250 might be a dip buy. We got long bias on coin, long bias at coin. Okay. See. Okay, so my pre-market low to higher. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly. Looking for that 252.30, kind of mid 252s to hold there for. See if they can get a dip buy on that one. Oh, here we go. All right, so that's what I've got on coin. Let's quick move over to the. What do we got? Quick look at Tesla. See what we're doing. Quick higher time frame. So Tesla still got it in at his sell side pull. How long have we got to go here? 1 minute. So yeah, Tesla's still in its sell side pull that it was knocking about into yesterday. So there's a huge pull up there. So it's to see if it can push further up really out of this one above 174.50 or whether that's going to start to come down today. We'll let the open make the decision on that. NVDA is still in a downtrend. Perhaps NVDA to come up before it does another drop if that's what it wants to do here.
And one thing I forgot to mention that seems significant. And Kashkari mentioned it actually as a factor specifically in his speeches. Oil prices. So we had this dip over the weekend. We had this sort of dip down and kind of forced to push back up there. Oh.
And we're off. We are off. Right, so I've got the scanner in my ear at the moment. Right, Lays is running. Let's jump over to Lays. Also need to turn that down. Okay, so Lays pushing above its pre-market high straight from the off. So $5, $10, $6. We'll see how aggressive Lays is. They might need either a momentum play. 450, did we get there? Yeah, watch out for the shorts at 450 of any aggressive shorts looking for those traders that have just bought the pre-market high. And let's see what happens on this 1 minute bar. Sorry, Tim. I think the opening bell there interrupted you. What did you say?
Basically, I was just saying keep an eye on oil because that's sort of a key thing for inflation there. I think if it pushes back up towards 90, it looks like we had a gap down over the weekend, which it's mostly reclaimed and is trying to confirm. Notice also Disney got pushed down pretty hard right off the open. It's trying to catch, but I'm not seeing the same weakness elsewhere, so it could be idiosyncratic. I'm trying to see if there's news or... I'm still bearish on Disney, but we'll see.
Okay, gotcha. Just going to turn these. So I've got MYMD. 1 second. MYMD is being called out on the tape. It's in a buy-side liquidity pool. Let's jump down here. What have we got above? So I've got $6 above, double top around 4-ish, 420. And this is the area that needs to hold because we have a gap below it basically that could get filled. So that was a quick push on the open on the tape. Flurry of orders went through. And now it's gone very quiet on MYMD and we're pushing lower. Let's see if it can hold this level around 320. LASE still okay, taking a breather. So the question is whether this is going to be a quick consolidation play to the upside. It looks like that did get pushed down on that high volume. So kind of leaves 50-50 in there. But for me, we are above that key level at the moment. So just trying to see whether that's going to be a wick on a higher time frame. For anything else, let's have a look at just a quick look at Wave. That was just seeing if that's any good for a short. This pumped up last night. It didn't do much this morning. I was hoping it might get up to 460s to short. Still kind of hoping that. There is a benchmark above it, but we'll see how that goes. RBSN also on the tape right now. RBSN. So RBSN's just broke above that sell side liquidity pool, and this is the back of that trend line to watch at 215. So just get on a bigger time frame here. Also, we're pushing the trend line now. That's funny, the scale on that, isn't it? Okay, so that's above the trend line now. Let's see if we can break those pre-market highs and what, if anyone's going to do anything here, or if we're going to produce a wick or continue to go. Continue to go then. We continue to go. Oh no, so I've got benchmark 2 there as well. So it's just pushing benchmark 2 as well as the trend line. So yeah, I'm going to sit on the hands on RVSN at the moment and see if it's not got anything to the downside first. Deanna, what have you got? You got anything you're looking at right now?
I'm still watching NQ right now. We're starting to get a bit of a pullback. And if we pull back a little bit deeper into this zone here, I have it highlighted in kind of that greenish color. There's a fair value gap on the 15-minute chart in the blue box. So if we get back into this zone here, I would be interested in taking along somewhere around the 62% retracement or 70.5% retracement. Probably go with 70.5% retracement because that's in the discount area. But I do want to see it kind of gradually pull back, not a really sharp pullback like what we're seeing right now.
Okay, so you want to see that slow down a little bit. You don't want to be buying the falling knife kind of thing.
Correct.
Into that level, yeah? Okay, got you.
I would maybe start with like a little tester position if it does keep coming in that fast. But ideally, I'd want to see it slow down.
Okay, nice one. Let's have a look at what's Great Scott got. Tilray, TLRY. Let's have a quick look. So RVSN coming off that level for me again. See if that red can hold that green to red into that. I don't know why I've got the trend line on that 2 minute is well off compared to the 30 minute. In any case, Tilray. Okay. So that first, when did we have first red day down on Tilray? A couple of days back. So okay. Ooh. So yeah, I would have really liked that because that would be my confirmation entry up there at short at 3. Yeah, I think the break of that 253 level is pretty key. There was an earlier indication of that of the oh no, it was exactly that. So yeah, the break of that buy side liquidity, you've seen that momentum coming in. Just where I'd be taking the macro now of everything. So yeah, that's almost, it's kind of, it could have room to go down to the bottom of this area. But for me, that would be quite a dangerous short at this point in time because it's almost hit the target from that break of 250. My target would have been down at $2 for that. So yeah, I'm not necessarily thinking long because of the first red day a couple of days back, but that was a nice play. I just think a little bit late. Oh, you've got, sorry, man. Sorry. I've left it on Dear Linda's screen. Okay, sorry. I'll just quickly run that again. So what I was saying quickly was a first red day a couple of days back. Not weekly. First red day a couple of days back, which is a very nice indication that we are going to come off. And then there was this nice little pullback there that I liked. So that's a sell side liquidity pull. And then on the 30 minutes, the level that we've just kind of broke right now was the buy side pull. So you had a gap between 250 and kind of 220 or 2. But for me, that's the short there. I would be taking all of it off at 2 personally. Doesn't mean it can't fade anymore. It's just because that's a resting pool of liquidity for the whole move up here from kind of $1.60 to $3. So yeah, that's kind of, that would for me would be job done to keep the stock kind of safe from going lower from $1. But doesn't mean it can't go lower. I just like this area here for an out as opposed to an in. But let's see. So let's have a quick look at Lay's. So Lay's is kind of pushing just above that level now. We're wicking on a 30 minute. That would be the entry that I would look for textbook short because it went to a new high and is now failed to get above the sell side liquidity in the first instance. Let's see where the buy side is because sometimes that first side short is difficult. I just need to turn. I've still got that scanner going crazy in my ear. All right, let's see. There's something I need to close out before I can do that. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so yes. Yeah, I just wanted to note that the first buy side liquidity pool for Lays is here. So just need to be careful. It's not going to go supernova. The gap play is between a break below and close 365 to fill the gap to 324. But need to be careful. We're not going to pull up out of here and attempt to go for a push. But that was quite heavy from 423 down to 370. So let's see if we can break that 365. Alternatively, the newest area, if it's going to start to hold sell side, would be just a little bit lower right now. So if it's going to come back again without breaking the high, it's just going to retest to pull back some sell side. It's going to pull between 412 and 424. And if we break that, we've seen this many times. If we break that, that's when we can see that flurry of orders come in and push us up to that kind of $5, $10, or perhaps even $6. So we'll keep an eye on Lays. Let's put some alerts just below. Put an alert at 360. And if we come out at 4, just so we get called out there. Okay, let's have a look at Tesla. What have we got on Tesla? Are we still in that zone? Yeah, we are still in that zone. So we got stacked liquidity up here, 180 being the top side of that. What else? Not a lot else to say on Tesla unless it starts making a move. Dylan, what's happening on the NQ? Did that regain any?
Well, so there was a really nice 15-minute sweep of the 9 o'clock candle. So really nice sweep on the 15-minute time frame. So I've dropped down to the 1-minute time frame looking to see if I can get an entry. And there is a break at this point with a potential fair value gap on the 1 minute. So if we close with that 1 minute, so I'll be putting in an order right here inside this fair value gap.
And the fair value gap is the blue box down there between 372 and 380, is it?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Okay, so you'll literally limit all of that in, will you?
Yes.
Okay, and middle of that zone, or
I'm going to do right at the top. So 18,394.
Okay, gotcha. 18,394 on the NQ. Oh, that's coming. It's close. It's close.
Yeah, it's close. Haven't quite gotten filled yet.
Looking for a catch on Hood here. Pulled back and it's good. It's interesting. Disney, I was actually looking at as it looked like it was really going to just roll over, and it looks like it's catching as well. So, couple things. We'll see if anything amounts.
Is that your entry?
Yes. Sorry. Tried to mute it in time, but I missed it.
No, that's fine. Okay, so Trader Life, your short lays, your lays short 10:03 being the time. No, what's been? What am I missing there? About 10:03 Trader Life. Okay, just going to switch the tape on. See if I can't hear what is happening here. So RVS on the tape as opposed to lays right now. Okay, so RVSN is, let's take that dip low on the open to the high that it pushed, and we are 192.99 into the buy zone there, and I have got orders coming in on the tape, as I do have on lays right now. Let's have a quick look back here. I think you still got Tim, haven't you? So lays pushing out of its first sell side liquidity pool. I've got orders on the tape right now. See if that can push into the kind of 413 area, 420, to see if that can hold. Let's see if lays has. See if I get an order called out again. See if we can't preempt a little move up. Oh, I got your time. Sorry, trader. I got your trader life. RVSN, as I was saying as well. So put in the low, so backside of the sell side liquidity pool, pushed up above that kind of trend line that we was talking about, back into the buy side. That push out had volume on the tape as well. But like I said, looking at what this stock has done previously, if we go back and look, even if we looked at kind of the 2 hour, you can see this is where we done it a day previous to now, back on the 3rd of April. Lays on the tape again. So yeah, you can see in the pre-market it pushes up, and then by the open a little push up, and then it breaks again here, pushes up in the pre-market, then closes red at the start of the the first hour of the open. And every spike that it's done in the past month or so, when was the last day we saw a multi-day on this? Even that one there, up to sell side liquidity and back down. Again, that's a day one, up and down. So it's got history of not following through to the long side. It's a small cap. It doesn't mean it can't, but it has history of doing kind of what it's doing at the moment in pre-market, pushing higher on the open and then dropping after that push. But at the moment, the buy side liquidity does have, a bit of noise on the tape. So we'll see if we get anything out of that. Tesla, looking at Tesla. Mate is looking at Tesla there. What's on Tesla? So if I'm gonna get this big red box, so that's now negated. It can still work the top of it, but it's so close to one above it. I'm just going to move it over to the side so I can see what's going on here. So just taking that one. The first thing I'll be looking for is up here, a break of 175.50. Could see a push, but I'd certainly want to see some orders executed there. RVSN's heavy on the tape right now. So yeah, just seeing if that level there, 175.50 or 40, would be acknowledged by Tesla. Just want to see what it does when it gets there. If it does want to pull back at that level, it might have a little think about it. I'm assuming it goes to that level at the moment. Then 192, 193. 193. So RVSN, more interest by the looks of it. Yeah, interest straight out of that zone. It looks like it's going to break. I won't anticipate it. It's there. It's starting to break it. That level would have been at 220. 220. So let's see. See what RVSN has got here. Dear Linda, you taking some heat on the NQs?
Yep, a little bit.
Yeah, I'll just see it take a push down there. So what do we got coming? So Meta's coming off, Amazon's coming off right now.
Sorry to interrupt you, Scott, but I'm out now.
Okay, gotcha. So let's so where was your stop on that, dear Linda? Right under the zone? Or you give it more room?
Can you see my chart right now? Yeah. Yes, so the better entry would have been right at this level. So typically I wait for a retracement after we get a sweep on the 15-minute and then a break on the 1 minute, and then looking for fair value gap. So there was a fair value gap here. There was one here as well. Although this was not a break of structure, this one did break the swing high. So a better entry would have been at this level here. It seems like this week and last week, there just hasn't been a lot of follow through on NQ. And so a lot of times we kind of are moving from one liquidity area back inside to, you know, another, the opposite end of liquidity. So, so I'm out, and, you know, it looks pretty heavy now. We're moving down pretty strongly.
Yeah, I think the NQ's been a difficult one for a couple of months now. It's been in it. It's not like it hasn't been moving. It has been moving, but it's you're not just seeing those bigger trends that you normally get with it at the moment. That
we're getting this
with it intraday
ping pong action. So, you know, we've been inside this consolidation area since the end of February, and price just goes back and forth. And even if you look inside the smaller time frames at hourly, you know, this has been really tough to trade.
Yeah,
all of this mess here.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Uncertainty with.
Yep. And there's CPI coming tomorrow, like you mentioned, Tim, and PPI on Thursday, and Friday is it consumer sentiment? So it's going to be a busy week.
Yeah, let's see what tomorrow. I mean, I know that we had that kind of shakeout on FOMC, and then non-farm kind of reclaimed it, didn't it? And now we're back to where we were. So it's kind of been negated at that point. But yeah, hopefully CPI will be something that pushes and gives us a little bit more of a decisive price action on the NQ.
Yeah. As far as you know, at this moment, we do have a sweep now to the downside of yesterday's AM session. So I think, Scott, you look at the prior session as well, right? I know you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yes, if I was, so actually, let's take a look at what I would do right now on it. So yeah, if I was looking at this now, I would be taking I would be assuming the Globex 100. Let's just turn this off. Okay, I'd be looking at the Globex session in terms of London, and taking that swing. So if I was in London, I would be looking at kind of yesterday's swing. I'd also look at I'd see that on the kind of 10-minute, 30-minute, something like that. But I would be looking at this as it's a big swing. It's a big area. Sometimes it could get worked as in accumulation, or sometimes it can just V right into the middle or to the bottom of it. But that's kind of where I would be thinking a kind of magnet was for the NQ off of those highs. And if I was to look back at yesterday, yeah, actually yesterday's price action again was halted by kind of like the London and New York kind of like, let's do the same thing in terms of price action. We still have so from this push up from yesterday, I have this down at 8185, and then the most recent push up I have here at 312. So my gap from yesterday, so this is it was still used earlier in the session, but really it's kind of done. I'm kind of thinking the gap now is between 82 280 and 193 for the downside, but I'd always look to see if there wasn't a long position first, because I'd always be for every buy side pull there's going to be a sell side pull above it, which I use as kind of a target. But at the minute, yeah, that's what I've got it a little bit deeper. around about 300, let's say, at the midpoint. Right, let's see what we've got. Lays decided. Lays is toying with the bottom side of its pull now, its buy side. So that's kind of done unless it wants to push now. I'll have to put the tape on again. Oh, so Lays is on the tape at the moment. Let's see if it's enough to get it back above 390. Else it could be shorts on. So like I said, this is my rock and a hard place where I've seen, I have another benchmark, but I've got a double whammy sitting here, and sell side liquidity has held. MYMD is also shouting at me. So for me, this is something that I would much rather short, but because there's an area above, it's hard not to think this is just going to push down to kind of 23. Let me see. I'd prefer to be a buyer down at 3, to be honest. Let's see what we've got. Oh yeah, so if we can break this 350 area, that could get us down to 323 if you like your 20-30 cent moves. I think I'm going to hang on and see if we can't get a buy opportunity at this pull, because where's the VWAP on this one? Oh, the VWAP's where it is right now. So yeah, the longs I've been liking, I've been trying to look at the longs rather than the shorts like all the time. But I think there's definitely a short on here, but there might be a decent long if we can get down to $3, $3.20. We'll see what we can get. There's the VWAP test right now. Let's see if we get anything on the back of that. Trader Life, you're good in this one, right? You're getting paid right now, I would imagine.
This is interesting. I'm just noticing I felt like everything seemed heavy and there was some bearish sentiment, but I also noticed looking at the charts, it's just hard to fight a little sort of upside bias. I don't know. There's a lot of knife catching temptation going on right now, I think. So yeah, I didn't see too much. I just finished looking at the kind of news from different things. One interesting thing is Vincirx, VINC. So they presented preliminary phase 1 data yesterday, I'm guessing, this morning, probably yesterday, for positive signs of tumor reduction, improved safety profile, etc. And they just took a hit last night from 490 down to, is it $2 ish, and now they're almost down to they're at 130 and still heading down. So I'm curious. I'm not seeing in this one news feed, but let me check elsewhere here. What could be going on there? Because that's either just
MYMD's broken its sell side there at 323. It's pushing on down. Checking its space down to 280, midpoint around 260.
Okay, so apparently Vincirx, let's see. This is someone else's analysis. It says they only have 3 months of runway left. They're going to need years and years of funding. So this data is apparently extremely preliminary. Yeah, someone says if the best response is stable disease and there are no complete or partial responses, then the data is bad. So 15 patients is more than enough to generate proof of concept. If it truly worked as intended, you should see responses. So basically, like, they're spinning it as, hey, this is positive, but not near enough to justify the valuation. So, and I should mention actually on the Discord actually. So one great thing for just digging into. So this is an area of interest for me. I have experience professionally in medical devices, and then just an interest in the pharma and biotech space. And so one of the things we're going to start doing in the Discord community is Martin Shkreli, of fame, of infamy, but he actually did a series. This was before he went to prison. He's back now, I guess. But he actually did a nice series of lessons on finance, on like reading balance sheets and investing, especially in bio or med companies. And he also has some stuff on chemistry and different things like that. So we're starting to go through a few different things. So we're going to be going through Thinking Fast and Slow. So Daniel Kahneman just died, but we're digging into, some of the analysis. Like, we've been talking about the behavioral finance stuff, about prospect theory, and taking advantage of that in our trading, making sure to like take a step back if we get a big win or a big loss and reset. But we'll try to start adding some more, I guess, technical or more specific things as well. So we'll be going through a few different kind of books and video series and having discussions. So we'll be watching the first one of those Wednesday night, and then we'll be having a discussion on that Thursday evening, excuse me. So and those are available online, so if you want to watch it and then come in our group and discuss, that's cool too. But I'm excited about that. I've been meaning to watch it for ages, and it'll be good to actually sit down and kind of have more insight into some of these reports.
Yeah, gotcha. So Lay's breaking below that sell side, still there, 365. So just looking to see if I can get down to this 320 area and see if we have got any kind of room or price action for a potential squeeze off of 320. Let's think. So we've gone from kind of 140 to 440. We are holding still, even if we got up to 3, we're still in the 50%, upper 50% of that for a potential squeeze. So let's see what it does there, but definitely a nice short on there. Nice short on Lays up at those levels.
And now, speaking of catching knives, I actually taking another stab at target here. This could have caught, so it does lots of room to push back up and reclaim that channel. So we'll see.
Where's that channel, Tim, you're talking about?
Oh, let's see. That is... yeah, so I just have this from a while ago, but it keeps... Where's my mouse? Hold on. There we go. So yeah, it's been... This is loose, but see, it keeps tapping here. So if I were to redraw this a little better... I've got a million things running, so my system's a little bit slow, but you see there's this line, the bottom of this here, but if I were to redraw it, it's kind of, the actual range is within here, but it's trying to get back up and in here, so I think it could, keep pushing back up towards the 200 range, but it's got to decide here what it's actually doing, so. I'm zoomed way in, so it's hard to tell what this is actually
Gotcha. Okay. So you're having a stab at that now, are you?
Yep. Yeah, just grab that. I'm up a little bit, so looking good so far.
Tiny, I have... Yeah, you're right. It was 320. So it's coming down pretty hard into this. So literally the sellers are getting paid. So this is no longer, and then how far are we here? So if the highs to where we came from. Is that actually where we came from? Yes, that is where we came from. So yeah, so long as we're above that kind of 290 level, which is the bottom of that sell side liquidity pool, it has potential. These buyers, the color change game sitting here, been stopped out, around these 350 levels, which has given us a push down. It's not a guarantee. Like, remember, this is a really strong level in terms of a benchmark. The fact that I've got a daily one above it doesn't mean it has to hit the daily one today, right? We could come back down to the resting liquidity pool before it does it again on another day. But if you are looking for that long, just drawing the resting at 2.5. If you are looking for that long, in anticipation of the short squeeze, it could be, so there's 3 levels of liquidity here, kind of top, middle and bottom, and it's whether or not it needs anything further down. Otherwise it could just tap into it and move off. Let me just put the tape on. Let's see what we've got. So not hearing anything off that first level. Have a look here. NQ gone a little bit sideways here at the moment. As everything else. Meta's still pushing down on a downtrend. Tesla's still pushing up.
Scott, someone was asking, Noli72 was asking what indicator I'm using to look at fair value gaps.
Yep.
It's called the Imbalance Finder Dynamic on TradingView, and it's by, I think it's like Traveling Trader or something like that. You should be able to see it right here.
Got it. Yeah, Imbalance Finder.
That's the first one.
Okay. There you go. There you go, Nolly. And have you ever tried that concept on? I know, I think ICT, didn't it used to be Forex, and then obviously futures started trending, and then he was applying it to kind of the index futures as well. Has anyone ever mentioned it with stocks at all? Do you know? Have you tried it with stocks? Does the concept
I was just looking at that and trying to see how I could maybe incorporate it. And I don't have a final answer for you yet, but yes, he uses the futures and also Forex, but I think you could probably transfer it to stocks. The overnight gaps make it a little bit tricky because, a lot of times there are overnight gaps that aren't really a fair value gap. Exactly. I mean, I guess it's a gap, but it's just a little bit different.
Yeah, it might be interesting to obviously not to put you off your actual execution on the futures there, but it might be interesting if you pick one of the Mag 7 or something to see if the same concept actually works kind of on a session basis. So if you'd still have pre-market, and yes it is, but you're right, yeah, the gaps are going to play with that. But maybe that's a real fair value gap though. If it's actually a gap, that really is zero liquidity in that void, isn't it? Right. So yeah, it might work. It might work well. It'd be good to see. Okay, so now we're checking. So this is the green to red momentum play to the sell side, Tiny. So this is kind of why I'm just kind of not jumping in this. That there is a momentum short where the green candle got taken out by the red candle just here. So yeah, just an acknowledgement there. So perhaps we are going to push a little bit deeper in here. Like I said, perhaps it's not on at all, right? We could just be filling a short target right now. certainly they might not think of covering right now, seeing that momentum play. MDIA is up on the racetrack here. So working its way through. What have I got here? There's a whole lot from yesterday, I think. So day before yesterday, MDIA tapped into the sell side benchmark. Sorry, the benchmark up there, benchmark 2, pulled back to its resting buy side pull and is pushing off there still from yesterday's lows. Sell side liquidity from that push down, sitting up here between 5 and 550. So whether or not it's backside at the moment, it's not backside on today, but in terms of where we've come from, yeah, no, it's definitely a second push. I would treat this as a front side day unless we get some rejection at 550. Let's see. Matey, did you play that to the long side?
Me?
No worries, Tony. No, sorry, Tim. I said mate. Yeah, I was asking Mater.
Yeah.
I know he had that on his watch.
Yeah. So yeah, Target and Disney are popping now. Robinhood looks like it's about ready to rip. So that's pretty exciting.
So Wave took its final area of $3 from post-market highs at 5 yesterday. MYMD still cracked that. Look at that. Yeah, a crack of 320, pushing down now to 264, I imagine, to grab that middle side liquidity. Oh, Lay's on the tape. 1 second. Okay, so second push. Okay. Let's see what we've got on Lays then. $36.37 on Lays. Double bottom into that buy side liquidity pool. I'm going to try a nibble there. Just a little piece of Lays long at that point and see if where are we, 335. I'll only give it to the double wick lows. I don't think I want to work into this at so close to a double benchmark, so I think I either want to see it come in on the tape now or it doesn't, and then I'd cover it even if I get another green to red move. To be honest, I'd be happier to add lower, but at the minute, yeah, I mean, the fact that that's such a short up there for me, I can't think, but I'd be taking profits down at 312. So, Deanna, here's an issue that I've had of late. So, benchmarks. So, I have something like a stock called a supernova, right? And that is for me, that's when a stock breaks what I call a benchmark. So, for me, a benchmark is a formalized level that that a small cap with institutional ownership should respect. So it's kind of like, it could be the end of a trend, a benchmark, whereas the buy side liquidity pools are areas to potentially add as we keep going up in an uptrend. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, there's never just one. There's kind of similar, like a time frame basis. So there's an intraday and kind of a daily benchmark. So for as much as so for me, if I had nothing above this, mm-hmm. This I would be looking for shorts all day long, and this is my entry. So if I push in a high and then I I drop a little bit and then I pull back to a sell side liquidity pool and I can't break above it and I go red off that, that's my perfect entry. So really I should be short from 417 on this. If I'm doing that, I have to anticipate that I'm going to acknowledge a buy side pull and then perhaps another sell side pull. And this is kind of where my risk comes in, is that I've got to manage that trade with my stop up here at 437. And then my target would be either the top side at 323 or the middle at 310, and I'd see what the price action does. So if I saw a double bottom like that, I would be out of that short trade. But that would have been a beautiful short trade for me. But and I want to continue to take that, right? But my issue is when I see a benchmark above it, I'm thinking now of the long, because we've seen these fail a number of times this year where they come back for the buy side liquidity and then supernova off and literally go another $2, $3, $4 or more. So what I've actually just longed this here. Like I said, I've just taken a starter position on this to see, but I'm annoyed with myself that I didn't take what is normally my go-to short, just because there's perhaps another setup later on in the day. So yeah, I've just missed out on all that money. I wouldn't have needed to even try the long, to be honest, at this point. But I've literally just missed out on that beautiful trade, which is textbook, purely because there's something else potentially that could happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That's trading, right? Like anytime you lose or anytime you miss out, it's easy to have a reaction to. That's a big part of why the mindset warm-up can really help, so that you're reiterating to yourself what you want to do to help you do the correct thing. I'm assuming that that was the thing that you wanted to do, right? So you're saying that you didn't do what you would have liked to do. That's part of your rules. Correct?
Yeah, I didn't hit I didn't short there. Yeah, I should have shorted there.
So rehearsing ahead of time can be really helpful, so that you're going through your trading plan, even though surely you know your trading plan very well, but when you rehearse it in the morning before the session, you're practicing what it is that you're going to do. That sort of helps you do what you intend to do, what you mean to do. Even though you know that that's what you mean to do, when you practice that and then also visualize, the winning and the losing, that can help you just sort of get in a place of calm where you're not really so worried about being right or being wrong, but just allowing the probabilities to play out.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I need to, to commit to the trade. If the setup that is there, that I trade the setup, regardless if something else could happen that I see above, because there's always going to be another level, or even if there isn't one that I've drawn in, as per my kind of strategy, there's always going to generally be another price level somewhere. I'm just annoyed with myself today that I didn't jump in that one.
That's it, right? There's always uncertainty in the market, and getting comfortable with that uncertainty is really tough. And so practicing that ahead of time. But now if you are frustrated with yourself, that's really good to acknowledge, I'm feeling frustrated that I did that or whatever, so that you can reset before you take another trade or you manage this trade any further.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Yeah. So if I'm now doing the same, Tiny, I know you was looking at this as well, but so the sell side liquidity is kind of sitting here. Now, so what's going through? So I kind of micromanage these levels on the stream. I wouldn't normally be drawing every single kind of level in, and I'd normally be on a slightly higher time frame as well, but this is kind of what goes through my mindset, because I know these areas are here. So I'm kind of expecting that we go from one to the other all the time, right? And even if I'm in a trade, it gives me some comfort to say, even if I'm shorting up here at 420, that I know if I get down to this pool, the chances are I'm going to pull back to the next one. And that's if I then get another green to red movement, that's another chance that I can add to that trade, because this becomes like my safety blanket or in a short. So long as sell side, even if I was still in the trade now, if I hadn't taken profit off at the target and I was hoping this was going to fade down all day, that ultimately this would be my next area where I would expect price to be okay to go to for it to continue down. And yeah, so now I'm talking that through. I'm like, well, this should definitely be my first target on the long position that I'm in now, and then I'm listening for the tape to see how that reaction is within this zone. So listening to, if I get that action on the tapes, I generally only get it on the long side. So if I hear it, then I'm waiting for a potential break of 4, because then that's when we can get some momentum to the upside. If not, this would just be, that would be my target on this long trade at this point. But yeah, always, yeah, I have kind of what every other trader is doing and anticipating what they're doing in my mind as well. So obviously I've got a color change here. This is the moving averages that traders like to work from on a color change basis, and that's the shorts have just got a reason to add into this, because that's there they are. So they all just jump in on the back of the fact that you've just closed below that green bar, and then a whole bunch of shorts come in. So again, I'm aware of that. I don't like seeing it when I'm in position long, but I have to just go with the fact that I know that's what happens, you know, generally in between these sell side liquidity pools. So for me, I'm okay with what it's just done in terms of another wick down. But if I start now to close below 317 and work down, then I'm out at that point. This is not. I don't really want a small caps as we're working together. The small caps kind of tail off at 10:30 in terms of probability of what we expect to happen in that first hour. Algos tend to kick in, and it becomes a lot harder to not necessarily to work out what's going on, but you'll just bounce between the levels and won't be going anywhere in terms of P&L. But, yeah, so I'm literally I got in here at, what is that, 340. So I'm a couple of cent below where I got in now. So let's see. What I'm listening for, is it on the tape? I haven't heard it on the on the tape since I entered, which is normally nice to hear when you're in a position. Okay. So anyone else got anything else? Trader Live, you took profits out at 326. And you've got your last out down there at 308, which I think would, nice. That would be good. So let's hope for you that we that those shorts that have just come in are going to help you along with that target.
Well, these are working out well so far. Disney's really starting to actually curl up here. It's coming up to yesterday's intraday, swing high. There was an opening pop, but it looks like it's gearing up. So we've got another hour and change, and then we've got the London it's back to the London close being in an hour from now, right? Are you guys on summertime now or not yet?
Yeah, we've caught up now.
So it remains to be seen there. I notice in the crypto space, there's a couple sort of little false starts, it looks like, but I don't know. I think I'm seeing bottoming action. So could have to tell here if this is a bear flag or not. But anyway, I've actually got to hop off because we are doing a session at, let me double check the time that we're doing it, but in the Discord community, we're also going to talk today about using the Trade the Pool client and how to use that effectively to tie into those rules of the funding program. So there's some rules as far as like, you want to get a minimum number of ticks, you want to hold it for a length of time, looking for the appropriate amount of volume. So I'm just going to show some ways that you can use the trading client, the Trader Evolution desktop client, to sort of more effectively tie into those. So hope working within that.
Okay, Tim, no worries. So you can all head over there to the Discord for that. Catch up with Tim over there for those.
That'll be at 12:45. And Deanna, great to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too, Tim. Have a good time.
Bye. Yeah, bye.
Cheers, Tim. Okay. So now we can do what we want. So, Trader Life is telling me that he warned me about LASE. Yeah, I know. You see, this is, I think, these guys are used to me trying to short everything that moves, which is generally what I do. I don't like to long these, but I'm trying I think myself and Michael have been trying to. Michael trades very different from me. He's been trying out the small caps when he normally only trades the big caps. I've been trying out a bit of Tesla when I probably shouldn't be. It's been pushing the boundaries. I'm trying to. There goes a little cycle in small caps, and sometimes you get like a big dip buy cycle, sometimes you get a big short cycle, and sometimes you get a supernova cycle where everything just goes to the moon. And this year at least, we've been in a dip buy market, and which is okay if you have to be willing to take like 20 or 30 cents if you can take some size. But if not, then you really need to be closing your eyes for the short setups and waiting for the dip buys. I've just been toying with trying that out whilst I've been on the stream, is to try and take a few more buys as to the sells. But yes, I think I'm much more comfortable on the short side with these, as Trader Life was pointing out there for me. How's the NQ looking? It's gone a bit quiet, or is it just waking up? What have you got?
Just starting to pick up, just as you were the last one you were on. It just all of a sudden picked up down, moving down lower. We're moving into what I identify as a bullish zone here, based on this market structure break. So we're getting into an area that I would be interested in potentially trying along. The issue for me is price moved up nicely, but is dropping into this zone much stronger than I'd like to see. Generally, I want to see a strong push up and a nice gradual move back into the zone. And right now, price is really, really falling hard in there. So it's really hard to make a whole lot of sense out of NQ at the moment. The market just seems tough.
So that blues. So I'm curious as to the level I drew when I said I've got. Well, good. Geez, just took a push down there.
Yeah.
So if I just flick from your chart to my chart, and I just want to know that OTE discount zone that you've got drawn in, because I've clearly come up with my zone completely different to how you've got your zone there. So just flick to mine and just show you there again, right? So there's mine.
Yeah.
Right, literally, I think 280 is the bottom of my zone there, and yours is what?
I'm trying to go back and forth. The bottom of my zone is 252. So I was wondering about that. How do you determine how do you draw your zones?
I'll tell you that in a sec. What's the OTE plus discount zone though? What's the darker blue into the aqua kind of color?
Okay, so I'm looking at these two indicators, MSB, OB, and higher high, higher low, basically illuminates the price action. It's called an indicator, but it really just kind of helps you see price clearer. So we have this zone here created by this market structure break. And where that happened from this level here to the bottom of that zone for me is a bullish zone. So when I use the Fibonacci just to draw the wave looking for a 2022 model, where it broke, so it broke at this level here, this wave, measuring it from candle body high to candle body low, that puts the retracement level 62% here, and OTE optimal trade entry that's 70.5%
Gotcha.
right here. Those are both inside this bullish fair value gap. So for me, this is a potential, area that I'd be interested in getting long, except for, like I said, I want to see the return slower than the push. Now, what we might see here is if price dips below this level, sweeping this liquidity here, it might be possible to see price reverse. And then I would also consider getting long. But the way that price is moving this sharp, I'm not interested.
Yeah, that's a crazy break. So that's that looks like it's gunning for the level from yesterday. Yes, if I was not doing anything today, like intraday or Globex, because it's been very noisy, I would say this is the push down to yesterday's level. Let's just minimize your chart there. I zoomed in on your chart. Let's So
you're talking about the low of the New York AM session?
Yeah, so I'd be going from kind of here to here on this one, and I have this level here, and it kind of works like a fib tool, if you like, but it ignores. Well, it's not. It ignores. It's more. It takes into account how quick the 0 to 100 was. So it was difficult to reproduce this as per the data, but it ultimately did work in the end. But so if you're thinking, so when you get those imbalances, right, when you get those gaps that you have, that is generally because it's on seriously light liquidity, right? It's just flying up there on auction. It's not a lot of volume in there that people might think when price is moving. It's actually, there's volume gaps because in the liquidity, which pushes the auction up very quickly. So now, to me, that's what I have in my ear. So when I know those orders come in a flurry, yes, it is volume, but as that happens, the liquidity gets sparse in between those prices and it starts to jump very quickly. So I really call it speed of the tape, and that's what this does. And now if the only not being able to take in the whole tape itself is that the quicker it goes up, the deeper it's going to pull back. That's quick. That's pretty much what it is. But yeah, so I could, if these candles, if we went, that's our A to B, and then say 50% is smack in the middle here. But if that area went up in time, in double the amount of time, obviously this angle of the slope, it would still get from A to B, but it would take a lot longer. So your fib would still put the 50%, no matter what, in the middle of A to B. Whereas what this is doing is saying that's not kind of how liquidity works. The liquidity works by how fast the skip is in that move up, as to where it has to come down to fill that pool of liquidity. So the pool of liquidity is always moving. Because I say every swing, even this one here would, like, if I was to, so I call it, micro and macro, because even this one here, where we pause and come back just for a little tiny bit on the NQ, as it loves to do, it should not be ignored. You shouldn't just expect it to come back down to 193 then and there, because the new liquidity pool is sitting here And that pushes you up to the sell side from this A to B. And that's how it kind of works. And then all of a sudden, what has been holding overnight attempts to drop to the big one. And I think that's what we're trying to get to now, is that push below. How's my lays doing now that Trader Life's been paid? And are you still waiting for the 308s there, Trader Life? So I still don't have lays on the tape, yeah, even though it is literally holding how many? So I'm definitely out below 320 now. Let's get this. I don't like the way that is setting up there. So yeah, I don't like it when a liquidity level once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, because that to me would be a very fast push down to $3 for you. Oh, you're out. Okay, no problems. That would be a very fast push down if that level breaks now. So yeah, it's the only trade I've had on this morning on lays. But yeah, we're coming into that time where we could just sit and wait forever as well. Let's have a look. What else is anything else doing? What have we missed on the big cap side? Was a nice double top into the top side of that sell side liquidity pool. So this was the level that I was saying. Did I do this on? No, actually, I'm not sure. Oh no, I did. So this is that level that I drew in at 175.5, which I was saying if we don't get those short sellers in and come down and grab this, then that's the one where you can kind of work all the way through this liquidity pool here. So that is a nice break and pull back to that level to come off here, and then volume coming in at the highs and a double top and a nice short. That will probably move the pool up now. So we've now got a new high in to see that the pool actually gets much higher and deeper now to that area, now that we've put in a nice run on that Tesla trade. NVDA is doing the opposite. Look at that. Done the opposite of Tesla, still on the short side. Meta was the same. Meta's been accumulating at these highs for ages. So pushing deeper and deeper. So this is the accumulation zone, the benchmark sitting down here for Meta when it's ready. But that's kind of why I like to kind of trade the gap. So that's the kind of area that I'd look for, and try not to get too involved in this area at the top when it accumulates at the top there. Google topping out just below its benchmark there. Let's see what it's got to break from the open to the high. That's it. There's a buy side pull there, so if you can break below there, we should see some more downside under 157.75, say. Close below. That pull, that low to high, that first swing high, a little bit lower or very close on the actual high. They will join. So let's do both. So it just takes it a little bit lower. So it's whether or not Apple can work its way out of that zone. So this is whether or not then NQ wants to make it down before we get any kind of longs on these other major plays, clearly.
Scott, do you incorporate a higher time frame bias when you're looking at working from the liquidity pool to liquidity pool? Are you considering kind of longer term what you think?
I generally don't go back more than, I guess the max would be 72 hours. It's normally yesterday is enough generally, because I works on a kind of follow the sun model, session on session. So I know Globex obviously can go all the way through, and stocks, US stocks, and worldwide are all independent to their session. But yeah, generally I'm looking at what happened either in the prior session. So for NASDAQ, I'm looking at London. For London, I'm looking at Asia. Or if it's a stock, I'm looking at the pre-market, or perhaps yesterday's lows or yesterday's highs to see what it's doing. So I generally don't go back much further than that.
So is a 3 hour the highest time frame that you're looking at? I think that's the highest.
Yeah, 2 or 3 hour. I mean, I can look at this on or lasers on the tape. That's good to hear. Yeah, I mean, I can do it on the daily. It's a long trade, isn't it? It's just a long. I could draw in and kind of take any one of these like lows to highs that are like clearly visible, and wait for that tap in to the first side of liquidity to go again. And likewise on the downside, there's micro ones here. If I zoom in, each of, and it's just dictating what the direction is for me. So if I do look at the daily, I generally don't want to bias, because half the time I don't think it helps me to have a bias. So, but if I did have a bias at this point, and this very next day, it would be to the short side, because I've come into a sell side liquidity pool. I wouldn't expect this to carry on up above. My bias would be to the short side, but the trend for me continues all the while that a sell side or a buy side is holding. I just keep on following it down, and then the moment, so here there's 3 or 4 there that have worked, but the moment that one doesn't work, I don't see any rejection to sell there or close underneath it anyway. But at the moment one fails, that's when I kind of switch and say, okay, let's start looking to perhaps the buy side. And generally when it does switch, not the very first one, because the very first one can normally be a tiny one like this. They're my like. But if it's aggressive, it doesn't come back on the first one. You have to immediately shift up and go, right, the next one is where I'm looking for to tap in. So that would be a bias if I had it, but generally I stick to the 2 hour mainly, throw the 2 hour or 3 hour.
Is that's a trading view indicator, or is that your own indicator?
No, that's so since I left last year, that's what I've been kind of working on, is trying to get, it's just that business. It's just trying to concentrate on kind of 2 aspects of investment banking business. So it's nothing to do with, your hedge funds, your prop firm, any other professionals that are in play or in the market. Just looking at that niche aspect of program trades, come back down to give the next participant in the queue a better price, and everyone gets a better price along the way, until generally it hits a benchmark, and at that point the program's over and you can see a change in trend at that point. But yeah, even if you just look at what the NQ normally does here, you can see why we're kind of having trouble. Look at how tight this is. It may still be going up, but there's not, there is, you can't say that's not a buy up trend really, is it? It's sideways and gradually eking up. It's not an easy place. It's not a nice place to trade.
I'm surprised how often they're not exactly aligned, but a lot of times your benchmarks are aligned with what I'm trying to do with the supply and demand zones. Looking at breaks in market structure, they do line up pretty well.
Yeah, I think everyone that has come on has said that exactly the same thing. They seem like I do something completely odd and completely weird. And it happens to align. Whether Mike was looking back 3 weeks for a support or resistance level, and I've had that before. Is like they're saying, "Oh, are you predicting a fair value gap there?" Because, and I'm like, "Yeah, well, right, okay." What happens at a buy side liquidity pool is there's a huge amount of liquidity out there, and generally it comes out of there, or if it breaks one, it comes out away from there very, very quickly. And that's what causes little gaps in the book, right? That is what causes it. So if the thesis of ICT is to say, if a market maker or a liquidity provider experiences an imbalance in the book where either they have to take a size of the trade because there isn't one, or it completely gaps up out of the way on that auction, if the rule of thumb is, well, you have to come back and get that, I don't know how ITC words that, but if it is, it has to come back there again, then that's okay. But mine is, it doesn't have to at all. But what I do know is in a program trade, there's like 2 up, 1 down. It's not quite like that, but it stair steps up and it comes back, and each participant in the program gets to have a go, basically, and that's why it comes back, as opposed to but yeah, you could the two could work, right? They both sound okay, don't they? They both sound like it makes common sense. It's logical. So we're right in the bottom there now, and we've hit that lowest level. So for me, that's done. Shouldn't have any other job to do. But that's almost certainly going to be my next level to draw, Deanna. I think it's going to be if we didn't come back from this at some point today, or we carried on lower, this is the swing that I'm drawing in for tomorrow.
To go long tomorrow, you'd be expecting a reversal.
So this is the level that I would want to look for longs, and then my target, which I'm expecting to be the next session, it could be this afternoon, but yeah, I would be almost, if price stalled at where it was now and didn't go any lower, it can sideways. I wouldn't be really interested in sideways. I'll still use this level, but that's where I'll be looking to short tomorrow. And I'm sure there, if you look, there's certainly going to be, and I don't know if this is ICT or not, but there's certainly a small candle before a big drop, right? If that's, I don't know if that's anything, but there's certainly a small candle before a big drop. Is that an order block or something? I don't know.
It can be an order block. I look at, I can't see what numbers those are. The yellow 18, is it 18?
Yeah.
So I was really influenced by Gil Ben-Hur, the founder of the 5%ers, and use his supply and demand concepts a lot. And so that lines up pretty well with what I would do, looking at, this is the 15-minute time frame, but there's a market structure break here. So we have a really strong market structure break on the 15-minute time frame. So if you were to measure this with a Fibonacci, so a little bit different this time, but measuring that, let me get rid of this here so we can see a little bit better. What was it? 18,334?
Yes.
That's going to line up right almost exactly with the 50% level of this zone. So it is funny how, all these different ways of doing it, they do kind of sort of coincide and work together. But
yeah, and I think that's because which I think everyone's doing much more of now, is right, what with journaling, everything like that, I think everyone is looking at that data more. It's not just, oh, I'm looking for a Head and Shoulders, or oh, I'm looking for a double top, or whatever it is. They're actually drilling down more into that data to say, well, okay, everyone can draw a support and resistance level, but what is it? When is it? What is it that repeats itself where the market actually moves afterwards? Is like, what brings in that momentum? Because you can bounce out or around a support level for some time, but it's like, what is the key thing that makes price move away from it? And then is that a magnet to come back to it again? And I think the data proves out that it does that a lot. It just does it a lot. So I think they all have their value. I think it still comes down to that building your confidence, though, on having done it 1,000 times and the repetition of it to say, yeah, I'm definitely getting in that.
Also, there are a million, I hate this expression, but there are a million ways to skin the cat, right? It's like we're all kind of doing the same thing in different ways. And I think it just makes sense for different reasons. But it's absolutely about having confidence in your model or your method, whatever it is that you use. And some days you're going to be right, and some days your model's not going to be right. And it just is really trusting that you show up every day doing the same thing. It's easy to say and hard to do.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. We had a bit of a chat. It went into like a little bit of educational stuff about the institution and specifically the makeup of the NASDAQ itself. And I was showing information that was, published by NASDAQ itself, that was saying about how the what they call household, that I'd call retail, orders would be filled. So retail or household orders are filled using the dark liquidity pools, as NASDAQ calls them, as opposed to our orders being routed direct to market. Even though we think we've got ECN and direct routing, actually it gets routed directly to a liquidity provider as opposed to the exchange. And that in those instances, the makeup of household is 38% or 34% of the NASDAQ ownership of stock is retail, which is the biggest single player. So you could take hedge funds only have 3%, whereas everyone calls them the big boys, but actually, it's only 3%. Mutual funds, investment management firms, and investment bankers all have their own little slice, but they're all looking at different parts of the business. Whereas retail, if retail actually got together and all done the same thing, and I think ICT is probably, the nearest it comes at the moment. You can't ignore the fact that ICT has been trending for the last couple of years or so. That's probably the closest it's got. And that's going to be self-fulfilling. If everyone's selling a fair value gap on the same stock at the same time, it's going to be a GME scenario, a meme stock scenario where you take a hedge fund out. That's what I was thinking.
We need our own roaring kitty to lead the way.
Yeah, just one big chat room, just one big one. And then we'd get told off for trying to lead the market, right? Yeah, that wouldn't be allowed.
Right. Maybe for a little bit, maybe before it gets found out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Trader Life, you're on fire today with this, right? I mean, you've not made a bad call yet from what I can see there. Yeah, a great little short here. So again, if I've gone from, so impulse swings for me. So at the very lows of the impulse swing, no matter how you measure it, that's the gap that occurs. So to me, that's the trend. The start of it is the breakout of this box down here. The end of it on a big cap is the first benchmark, which is this box here. And you can sometimes...
Sorry,
sorry.
Scott.
I'll keep forgetting. I've got something to share with. So sorry. Yeah, I was saying from Tesla, from the impulse push from the lows, or from an impulse push from the high, is what I call a dealer's spread. That's kind of indicative of how far the trend could actually go on a trade or on a move. And so once that's been done to the upside, I would just literally draw my liquidity pool in and then have a look at that spread as it kind of accumulated at the top and bring that down and say, well, where's that benchmark going to be? And if they align, then there's a higher probability that that liquidity pool is also a benchmark for the session. So we could finish this morning in or around like 173, 174.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the afternoon, push up on out. And all I would be doing was seeing where it would be down here by then. And then I'd be drawing the next one through. But until one fails, right? I'll just do that until one fails. And then you've got to look to the next one below. All right. So have I got any luck on lays? Come on, Trader Life. What I need you to do is you buy lays as well. I think we're all going to be good. I think if you jump in on this, actually, I do quite like this because even though it's taking its time, we're getting multiple looks here at these. You know, this is a long setup for anyone that is trying to dip by this, other than the time of day. Still holding its 50% in a buy side liquidity pool at the moving averages, and we'll see what we get from it. But where am I? Oh, I'm stopped. Didn't I was just looking at this candle here. I was just looking at this candle here going, that candle there, thinking, I know previously I just said that there was kind of this level being formed and I don't like seeing it because if it breaks below, it'll just go dunk. So I'll put a stop there. So it doesn't matter, Trader Life. I'm out. So I'll show you in the recap in a minute. It's a very poor long. It should have been a short all day long, but not to worry. So RVSN did come off of the sell side liquidity pool there. That's the one we were saying. That's what it does. Every other time it's popped, it's just popped and dropped. There was the sell side pool that it couldn't close above, and then dropped and broke its sell side liquidity, and is now back to these lows here, which would have been the target. You got to make sure you carry on trading. I get so far into the analysis that I fail to take trades sometimes when I'm streaming.
Yeah, that was why
So
my dominant trading theme was eliminating errors. It's hard to do, to talk and also execute trades and make the right decisions and pay attention to all of it.
Yeah, and then you throw in psychology chats as well on your stream, don't you? So you're doing more than. Do you trade at the same time, or do you do a kind of recap on your stream?
I trade at the same time usually. It's not working very well for me to trade at the same time on this platform yet, just because I'm not. It took me a while when I started streaming myself to feel comfortable and to be able to do it well. And so I might need to just take a break from actually placing live trades until I get some, like, just very calm, comfortable, and ready to go. But on my channel, I do. But then that's a big piece of what I talk about is if I am losing, what I'm telling myself, what I'm thinking about, and if I'm winning, what I'm telling myself, what I'm thinking about. Just takes a little while to get used to it. Yeah,
I totally agree. Yeah, it's so to answer your let me see who said it. Okay, yeah. So Deanna, what times do you stream and live trade on your channel then?
Yeah, I usually stream Monday through Friday, 9 to 11. And then in the afternoon, I'm usually there 1:30 to 3:30 or 4 o'clock. That's what I have been doing. So on Friday afternoon, I don't typically stream.
Yep. Okay, gotcha. So
check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. But what is the name of the channel again?
Psychologist to Trader. I'll put it in
yeah, you
it's
got
hard
access
to
to the
spell.
channel.
Maybe I can't. I'm not sure if I can type it in there, but Psychologist to Trader on YouTube.
Okay, let me have a look. You're coming up in my. I don't need to actually. You're normally coming up in my For Yous at the moment.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that is good. I tell you, I've been trying to do that all this year. I don't think I'm in anyone's For Yous.
Oh, that's good. Well, Psychologist,
Yeah.
you come up in mine following Trade the Pool. So I see you. It does pop up for me.
Yeah, so I'm okay. So Psychologist Trades.
But Psychologist is hard to spell. My son said I need to change it because it's too hard to spell.
It's too hard to type. Okay, it's because
Yeah,
I'm looking through this mic down at my keyboard that I can't see what I'm doing. All right, let's just have a quick look here. There you are, third one down. Let me just get this link in. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No worries. That's all right. So mine isn't as structured as Deanna. I'm with what I'm doing with Trade the Pool. I have been doing with Trade the Pool. Kind of sidetracked me a little bit, and so for me, I'm trying to work out what the best value is because I think there's a huge amount of value in pre-market, in actually trading pre-market, and actually the levels that I create from pre-market. So for that, I think that's my thing. I find more value in putting those boxes out or drawing those boxes on and trading the early bird session for small cap. So I think so that I can still put some stream content out, I'll probably do it before versus after, because that's my small cap kind of time. After the afternoon, after lunch is kind of the time I would generally leave the small caps alone and look to the futures. So I'd probably trade the futures in the afternoon.
Do you trade NQ, or are you at Forex futures or oil? What futures do you trade in the afternoon?
Yeah, so I like 6B on on the, which is the GBP futures. But the Russell, I do like the NQ. I do like the NQ, but it is a crazy wild one on when you're on those prop firms in terms of risk, right? So yeah, if you trade the Russell, I find it's a lot nicer to you in terms of your risk. Yeah, you can still get a decent size reward out of it, but it doesn't give you so much of a. Doesn't give you so many palpitations on the way to your profit.
So what is your YouTube channel?
I'm LiquidVision Trades. So LiquidVision is the tool. Is that it's a vision of liquidity pools. So that's what it does. It actually does more than that, but it's kind of a when you put everything on the chart, it's the visual of an algorithm, not the algorithm. It's it does lots of little cheeky things in there in terms of I don't know if I've got it on my NQ actually, because if I am what I've been obviously now doing the stocks as well, and the Trade the Pool prop firm account is I'm trying to bring all the stocks in with the NQ. So I'm very carefully watching NQ versus the Mag 7 and seeing, I'm trying to work out which one is the actual leader. I'm not convinced it's the stocks that are leading the index, which is how it should be. So yeah, I'm watching them very closely at the moment to see if there's an NQ set up, how much of the time within 30 minutes is it a Meta setup or a Tesla setup or an Amazon setup in the same direction. Well, one of those would be right now. So if I'm thinking we've come into this NQ level and it's, I've been waiting for this for some time, right, for this level to hit, and now it has, I'd be looking to get long. When does everything start? And I'm looking at them now. So when does everything kind of start moving along? Tesla currently, no. Meta, yeah, maybe. Amazon's trying to pull back a little bit again. Yes, I'm just trying to work out what a good relationship is, so that I can, take the index and then start taking one or two of the best Mag 7s and all go in the same direction effectively.
We're getting into that kind of a weird time, at 11:05, where it's like liquidity starts to die down a little bit, or activity starts to die down a little bit. Do you trade into the noon hour? I
wouldn't trade. No, I'd take so small caps I'd stop trading literally at normally at 10:30. If I've got something on, like, oh no, I haven't got lays on, unfortunately. If I had lays on now, I'd let that run. But I wouldn't put anything new on past 10:30. I'd then look to after lunch time, kind of 1:30 EST to see if I get a small cap all day, like an afternoon fader on a small cap, but primarily looking at the index from that point on. So going back to those, so if I'm looking at the 2 hour, it's if you can see, obviously they're not 100%, but these are if you look at when I do take a high to a low, I predict out, if I add this on, I predict out these blue lines that are, and trend lines in fact as well, that do a similar thing in terms of support and resistance as the liquidity pools do. But so I go to the higher time frame and it picks out these timing bars. So whatever that is on the at 1 p.m. This is my time in the UK. But at 1 p.m., which is kind of 6 p.m. on February the 21st, I should be looking for some sort of either momentum or top or bottom. I should be looking for that. So it's always within a bar or two generally, but what I try and do is align it with, like this one here. If I've got a buy side liquidity pool and my timing bar is here, that is literally a 2 hour trade. Right? If I drop down just to manage my risk on this trade here, it's such a profitable trade on the index. It's crazy because you're on the 2 hour. You can imagine what you're getting paid with just on the first push there. And so everyone I'm trying to, so this one here probably also would have been a buy side liquidity pool. So it's just trying to get me in at the right time. So it's so each one of these, this one not so well, a little bit early, but still gave me more confidence that I'm in the right day for a turnaround.
That was a hard stretch there. It was like everybody was pretty much wrong that day.
And this was a nice one there. This was the one, the FOMC drop, right? I'd literally had two timing bars that I was like, oh, that first one, the second one just went bang. So that was good to see. That was good to see. What hours for me? So I'm not consistent in terms of Liquid Vision. I'm consistent on this show in terms of when I stream, but I think I'm going for the early bird stream. So I think whatever the service is for me, it's either going to be kind of a Discord live stream, or I'm going to post the levels by taking screenshots of the stocks that I like, the ones that I think are over. And the main part of what is good about that pre-market is if those hot stocks on the scanners have already hit, let's look at Lay's, for example. If those hot stocks at kind of, what time was this morning? Okay, so that was the open. But a lot of the time, I know these are nearly done or done at pre-market. So let me just jump this onto. Oh my god, we're going way over. Never mind, we've done it now. We're 10 minutes over. Let's go another 5. So New York, here we go. So yeah, at kind of 8 o'clock this morning, I knew this one was over, but a lot of the time they're over by 4 a.m. They're pushed and they are done by 4 a.m. And that's the thing. It's on everybody's scanners, but I'm just saying, well, this is at a benchmark, this is not necessarily a long today. So I think I'm going to be pre-market to answer your question, Trader Life. I think I'm going to be either doing the stream early, like 5 a.m. So I probably won't get a lot of people on, but that's where the value is. So it'll probably be, or I'll just post it and live stream from a Discord. Not 100% sure yet, but I am about. I'm in Tradecaster as well. Over there.
There's a lot of people that trade the London session, so they might be trading the London session and then go into the New York session as well. So
on futures, yeah, that's right.
And Forex, you might grab some Forex people as well. Yeah,
Forex as well. Is the tool available for sale, Scott? Yes, it is, but it's so fresh off the. I literally spent since December. I can't believe what it takes to actually protect some software. Protect it, licensing, all that you expect when you just download some software package and it installs on your PC. Getting all that done has been a right pain. So at the moment, I just have one-offs before I can do subscriptions. So yeah, it's up there at liquidvision.trade. You can get that one. Liquidvision. So this is not going to be linked, but it's not a .com, it's a .trade. So yeah, it's over there. But as you can see by the website, it's okay. It's pretty much done. You can buy the annual. The lifetime is pretty much it's 1 cent more than the annual right now. But yeah, you can definitely go over there, and it's available as a kind of one-off or an annual. But then I need to concentrate on the recurring kind of subscriptions and working those the license tracking into that. But it's there. If I'm trying to simplify it, and that's what the liquidity pools do, is simplify the whole thing, I think. All right, so it is time. What is it time for? Now let me see where we are. So Gil's gone, I assume, because I've got to be clear before we do go. I've got to be clear because someone mentioned earlier about what's the news, and I think the news is, and I'm not sure yet. So I know what I've seen in WhatsApp on the group chat, Deanna, but are you my co-host now?
Yes, I don't know if that's the news, but
well, maybe he was talking about tomorrow's inflation.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was the news, but thanks for.
Well, that's what I think the news is that.
That's sweet. Yeah. Thank you.
We'll still be seeing Michael as well. We'll still be popping in from time to time, but we have been looking for a co-host for me to keep me company, and it is Deanna. So yeah, you'll see us here, and you're going to be here Monday through Wednesday, Deanna, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. So yeah, so that's the big news from me. But right now we're going to do the daily recap. It's not a big one, but it's a quick one. All right. So from my perspective, it is just one LASE and Trader Life. No smiling here. So listen, I went long in that buy side liquidity pool here, right? So here, And as I said, I don't want this to push and flash down all the way to 3 if I'm getting in at 330s. 30 cents is a nice target in small caps for me. So, yeah, I put a stop in on this one. And as we was talking about the NQ there, I didn't realize, but I got stopped out and it just ticked in. And now it's thinking about moving up. But there you go. What can you do? Not a lot. My trade that we were speaking about, Deanna, was this one that we spoke about, kind of working through yesterday, which I kind of, for me, is if it's there and it's the setup, take it. Stop looking to see if there's another one above and just take it, right? And so that's for me to work on. I should have been with you, Trader Life, on that one, man. So that's my trade. And have you just done the one that we kind of went through, wasn't it?
Yep, I took a long trade on NQ, tried a long trade, did not work out. Had a short setup, but I missed it. And obviously that would have worked out really nice, but I didn't catch it today. So maybe next time.
No worries. Yeah, I think maybe next time. That next time will be tomorrow from us. Wilson, thank you very much there for that comment. We're both providing great information. You're welcome. You look for my stream. You looked for my stream on a daily. I like the sound of that. Okay, all right. Let's see if we can get more than you in it, Tiny. I do appreciate you being there. But it is because I'm over on Tradecaster. That's the thing. So it's like I'm streaming, dual streaming that, and that's it. But yeah, Tiny, thank you very much. I will try and be more consistent in that respect. So thank you all. But if you can, give us all a like and subscribe over on YouTube. I much appreciate that. Obviously, go and check out what Tim was talking about earlier over on his Discord on the books, etc., and his news recaps and everything he's doing over there. But for now, until tomorrow, from Deanna, thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. And to everybody else, see you tomorrow. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.